If I put a gun at your head and say, Efra, give me all your Bitcoins, you can give me whatever amount you want, but I have no way as the attacker of knowing how much you actually had. And that's true for every single person on earth right now. Bitcoin gives you actual better protection against that, especially in the long run. I think we ought to think more about that and promote that aspect of it more. I see Bitcoin as intellectual armor rather than a weapon. It changes the dynamics of violence because it changes the profitability of violent behavior. Stablecoins, they are fiat. They may be gateway drug to Bitcoin, but it's crucial to remember that they're still not the solution. They may be a transitory, slightly better form of shit, but they're still shit because it's still fiat. We're allowed by our overlords to live in peace as long as we pay a tribute every once in a while in the form of taxes and inflation. If you don't pay your taxes, you will end up at the far end of the barrel of a gun. The government is not your friend. Make moral choices based on what's actually ethical and not what some bureaucrat has dictated is ethical. Bitcoin is probably not for everyone, but it is for anyone. Anyone willing to do the work, anyone willing to put in the time and effort to actually be able to do Bitcoin for real.
Hello and welcome to another episode of You're the Voice from Lugano, Switzerland. This is quite unique. I'm here with Plan B Network. We are recording a few episodes here this week, and we're here as part of the Plan B Network school, summer school. And I'm here with one of my colleague professors, Professor Knut Svanholm. Hey, Knut.
Hey, Efrat.
How are you?
Good to be here. I absolutely love being in Lugano as always. It's beautiful. We're getting the VIP treatment here. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Isn't it a great experience? So we're spontaneously jumping on to take the great advantage that we're here together in this great setup and record another episode, because why not, right?
Why not?
We always have a lot to say. And I always love to pick your brain. In fact, the first time we did this was a few months ago. And this is episode 51 of my podcast for people to go and listen to with Knut and Luke. It was a fantastic episode where we covered a lot of your recent book, Clown World. So please go and listen to that one first. And let's do just a quick bio reminder for those of my audience that may see you for the first time. I want them to know that Knut is a speaker, writer, educator, and philosopher focused on Bitcoin, formerly a tall ship sailor and shipping manager. He's the author of Bitcoin Sovereignty Through Mathematics, Everything Divided by 21 Million, and as we said recently, Clown World. What's the full name of the
inverse of Bitcoin, the inverse of Clown World.
Bitcoin, the inverse of Clown World. That's right. And several other books exploring the philosophical depth of Bitcoin. Yeah. He's also credited with popularizing the meme Infinity Divided by 21 Million and is a popular voice on stages and podcasts worldwide. So thanks for being here. I want to dive straight into some of the current affairs that we actually are seeing around us, kind of unraveling in the different spheres around us, political, corporate, etc. So my first question would be, there's a growing anxiety around stable coins, CBDCs, and government control of money. What's your take on the recent push for regulation, or especially around stable coins, and how would you respond to people who say stable coins are just the back door to CBDCs?
I think this is an idea I had the other day. Maybe the fear of CBDCs is the psyop, because they're already here. I mean, we're already using credit cards and debit cards. We're already KYC'd whenever we try to do anything. In using the banking system, you're already CBDC'd, so to speak.
To a large extent, yeah.
So maybe this whole thing plays out with okay, we the people managed to stop CBDCs, and then we're still in fiat hell because we're using what is essentially already CBDCs. I mean, it's I guess it's easier for the Chinese government to stop someone from buying a train ticket by just what's the app called, WeChat?
Yeah,
They
WeChat
just,
Pay or
yeah,
Alipay.
and they just block that function in the app. It's a bit harder to do with credit and debit cards, but I remember even back when 9/11 happened, like that's decades ago, there were two. Citizens, like Arabs, citizens in I don't remember what country they were from, but in Sweden, that had some far-fetched ties to Al Qaeda or whatever, and they just shut their bank accounts down, no questions asked, even though they were in a different country and had nothing to do with this thing. Don't know, like. I'm sort of pulling this out of somewhere now, so I don't remember the details.
It's okay.
But
it's not about the political point of it.
No,
the
point is that they already have the power to shut you out if you want to. So like what I advise people to do is just stay out of the banking system as much as possible. And I mean, stablecoins, they are fiat, and they may be gateway drug to Bitcoin and good for the unbanked and so on and so forth. But it's crucial to remember that they're still not the solution. They may be a transitory, slightly better form of shit, but they're still shit because it's still fiat. Like stable, horses live in stables, and fiat is shit. So how about horse shit coins instead of stable? Like that's... yeah.
Well, your view on it is quite clear, but to your point of we're already being surveilled with fiat, I totally agree with you, and I think that this is an excellent wake-up call for people who really do value freedom and they do want financial freedom. But what I see happening is them yelling, cash is king. Let's continue using cash.
Yeah.
Because cash will protect our privacy. So they may be right on the privacy front, but they get it all wrong about liberty in general of fiat, because fiat is enslaving them without them knowing, right?
And how are you going to get the cash? Like if I needed to get some cash like 2 years ago from the bank. I'm not going to disclose why. But they asked me, and this was... quite an amount, but not an enormous amount by any stretch of the imagination. It's still something I was willing to carry around in my pocket.
Yep.
But the bank asked me what I was going to do with the money. Like, I should be asking them what they want to do with the money. Because
your
it's
money.
my money.
Yeah.
But it isn't. Like fiat in a bank account is not yours. So what it is, what a bank account actually is a 2 out of 3 multi-sig with you, the bank, and the state. Nice. And both the bank and the state have master keys, so they only need 1 out of 3. You need the approval at least one of the others.
Wow, that's a great way of putting it. I never thought about it. It's a multi-sig with you being 1 out of 3 and the weakest link.
The weakest link, yeah. So the money
state
in
and
the bank
can do whatever the fuck they want.
And it's not money to begin with. It's credit, like it's fiat, it's fiduciary media, it's fraudulent, it's bad. And like when I saw the students in here, like these are the top students of this Plan B school, top 21 students. A lot of them are these. I got the feeling, I don't know if you agree with this, but I got the feeling that a lot of them are from quite techie and more on the tech background than the money background. So what I want to do here is to if there's anything I can contribute with is to teach them not what they can do, but what they ought or ought not to do, because I think there's a misconception that fiat is okay to a certain extent in certain contexts or whatnot, and that fractional reserve banking is okay as long as this or that. But it really isn't. If you boil it down to actual ethics and natural law. So long story short here, I am of the opinion that laws ought to be discovered rather than dictated by men. So how do we discover a law? Well, we have to start from first principles and admit that humans act purposefully because we want to reach a state of less uneasiness. And the best way to do that, which we can also deduct from first principles thinking, is to collaborate with one another rather than to fight one another. And the only reason we have conflict at all is because some resources are scarce. Even if we lived in the Garden of Eden, where everything is abundant and free, two people can still want to occupy the same spot in space, and therefore there's a reason for conflict there, because there's not an infinite amount of space. So humans end up in conflicts with one another because resources are scarce, and both people want this resource, whatever it may be. And we have two ways of resolving that conflict, and one is violence and the other is argumentation or communication. Mm-hmm. And if we want to reduce the total number of conflicts in the world, if we want to reduce bads, so to speak, if we want to become more civilized and less barbaric, we need to find a framework around how to minimize the number of conflicts, or even the reasons to have conflicts. And I would say, like, I'm skipping a number of steps here, but you will come to the conclusion that all fiat is actually increasing the potential for conflict in the world, and not the other way around. So it's not resolving anything, it's creating more conflicts, creating more scarcity in goods. When you have abundance in money, you have scarcity in assets, and the other way around. When you have scarcity in money, everything else becomes abundant, because you get into the free market, sound money world where everything functions properly, and you minimize conflict. So if the goal is conflict resolution, which is it should always be, because that optimizes for everyone, everywhere, all at once. Like there's no good argument against that. So I'd say science cannot derive an ought from an is, but we can get pretty close to an ought not. Mm-hmm. And the ought not is you ought not aggress against another person. It's the non-aggression principle. Right. And so this is the main point I want to instill in these students, so that if there's anything they take away from my lecture, is that this is not optional. Look in the mirror. What kind of person do you want to be? Why do you like Bitcoin in the first place? It's the don't steal of it all that ought to be the attractive thing about it, which is also why I'm so vehemently against other use cases for Bitcoin, because I think they take away from Bitcoin's ability to be a medium of exchange over space and time, which is its main purpose. And that is the thing that solves all the other conflicts. So, yeah.
You're the Voice is brought to you by Trezor, the original Bitcoin hardware wallet company pioneering the development of self-custody for crypto assets since 2013, empowering individuals with an open source device, enabling beginners and experts to easily and securely hold their coins. I find my Trezor super easy to use and recommend it to my friends and family. Enjoy my 5% discount on Trezor products by clicking the link in the show notes and using the code FLAT. Self-custody is powerful, but what if someone forces you to unlock your wallet? Bitcoin settles instantly, and that freedom can also be a risk. BitVault is the first Bitcoin wallet built to protect against both physical attacks and digital hacks. It creates a banking-grade vault on-chain with 2 of 3 multi-sig, time-delayed transactions, 2 hours to 15 days, giving you space to react, trustless recovery after 1 year, works with trusted hardware wallets, open source, and built with one focus: beyond keys, protecting humans. Only 42 lifetime subscriptions are available at $199 forever. Head over to bitvault.sv to sign up and use code FLAT for 10% off.
I really echo what you're trying to do here with the students, because I think taking a minute to focus them on basic principles of natural law and bringing them back to why in the first place, we need this, and why do they want to participate in it, is so valuable. It is so easy to get carried away these days to all the other stuff that Bitcoin can offer.
Yeah.
But really, I think the basic need, or if it's resolving conflict, and as you said, there is no dispute over the fact that with less conflict in the world, we will probably be living a better life wherever we are.
Not probably,
right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely, exactly. So how can we tune in their minds to how they contribute to less aggression and to resolving conflict by using Bitcoin? I think this is a perfect place to put them.
Since we're in Giacomo land here, and, so we love Venn diagrams, right? So the Venn diagram, I think there are some Venn diagrams that overlap pretty well.
Yep.
And one is like technical knowledge about Bitcoin, like network technologies, computer science, whatever. And the other praxeological knowledge about money. And those two, we want Bitcoiners to be in the overlap between the two. And these two, like, they are the same as what you can and what you ought. The technical is what you can do, the praxeological what you ought to. And there is so much else there. It's like the mathematics, the praxeology. It's the objective reality and subjective human valuations. We need Bitcoin to be in the middle.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. All right. My next question. So as governments double down on surveillance and control, we're also seeing massive cultural and institutional trust erosion. In that context, do you see Bitcoin as a protest, a tool, or something more foundational?
All three. First and foremost, I see Bitcoin as intellectual armor rather than a weapon. So what it does, it changes the dynamics of violence, because it changes the profitability of violent behavior or aggression. This simple example I do, like in every single talk and every single interview. If I put a gun at your head and say, Efra, give me all your Bitcoins, you can give me whatever amount you want, but I have no way as the attacker of knowing how much you actually had. And that's true for every single person on earth right now, which means that it's probably better for me, the attacker, to provide something of value back and have a good relationship with you rather than just aggress against you. And I think this is such an underappreciated aspect of it. Because we see all this FUD news about people getting kidnapped and extorted. That exists in fiat land too. Bitcoin gives you actual better protection against that, especially in the long run. I think we ought to think more about that and promote that aspect of it more, because I don't think people really get that when money is nothing but information. When the Satoshis are in our heads, because the ability to move them is all about keeping a secret from someone else, then it becomes so much more expensive to attack other people rather than to just provide something of value back. And that's the beauty of the thing.
We often may not want to go there, but what you're essentially saying, the nature of the attack changes. It's like the whole dynamics of the attack changes. Yeah. Instead of just operating violence to get something off you, you need to be more sophisticated about how you're going to get it from you. Yeah. And are you actually going to get what you want when you attack? Yeah. So we don't like to think that way because we don't want to perceive ourselves as attackers.
In other words, it's more costly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it takes more time, energy, resources, sophistication, intellect to try and really get the loot you are trying to get from someone.
And the thing people forget here, we think we live in relative peace, but that is only from the perspective of someone accepting the Stockholm syndrome that everyone is suffering from, that that governments are legit. So yes, we live in peace. That we're allowed by our overlords to live in peace as long as we pay a tribute every once in a while in the form of taxes and inflation. So it's just like the mafia. Like there can be wars between mafias and mobs every now and then. But in between those wars, there's relative peace, but that doesn't mean the crime isn't still ongoing and happening. We're still under threat. If you don't pay your taxes, you will end up at the far end of the barrel of a gun at some point. If you do it, if you just keep on not paying them, people with guns will come and take you and take your freedoms away.
Yeah. Yes, sad but true. Okay, my next question. We're now seeing, I think you alluded to it, but let's dive deeper into it. We're now seeing companies adopt Bitcoin as a treasury asset, not just MicroStrategy, but many other new players joining in. What's your take on this trend? Is it meaningful or more symbolic at this point?
I might not go as far as to call it an attack, but I think Bitcoin treasury companies are this cycle's shitcoins. Some of them more legit than others, but what you're basically doing if you're buying equity in one of these companies, like not your keys, not your coins still applies. Like to fully use Bitcoin for what it was intended for, like permissionless money, you need to actually control your keys. And most of these companies, including the bigger ones, do not hold their own keys. They have their Bitcoins with a custodian, a regulated custodian, but still a custodian. That is like, there are so many third parties involved for securing, quote unquote, quote unquote, your Bitcoin, which is like a layer of, it's paper Bitcoin up on paper Bitcoin. So you're buying a paper from a company that has bought a paper saying that they own this and that much Bitcoin. So it's very far from the real thing. And I think a lot of people buying into these things are going to see there's going to be rug pulls. There are always rug pulls when you delegate security, when you put trust in third parties. So sure, I enjoy number go up as much as the next guy, but if its number go up because people are buying paper Bitcoin and because governments seize people's Bitcoins, then I'm not necessarily going to cheer for that. I know that I can do very little about it, but and Bitcoin is for enemies, but that doesn't mean I have to love my enemy. I'd rather see Bitcoin in the hands of individuals. And that will always be true. Yeah. So what I'm saying is Bitcoin is probably not for everyone, but it is for anyone. Anyone willing to do the work, anyone willing to put in the time and effort to actually be able to do Bitcoin for real.
I want to introduce you to Abundant Minds because they take a very different approach to Bitcoin mining. Most people buy Bitcoin, but the smart ones mine it straight into self-custody. With Abundant Minds, you can do it without giving up your privacy. Abundant Minds was founded by Bo and Christine Marie Turner, a couple who lost more than $500,000 to providers making empty promises. Instead of walking away, they built a company that raises the industry standard and puts client first, and that's why I like them. With Abundant Minds, you own your machines. They never touch your Bitcoin, never skim a revenue share, and you choose your own mining pool. Their customer care is unusual. Clients speak to a real person for self-custody education, privacy consulting, and even visiting their site. They serve clients from around the world, but US investors specifically enjoy a big tax benefit and 100% bonus depreciation. This is more than just mining Bitcoin. It's about freedom, privacy, and purpose. You can book a free strategy call, see how it works, and mine some of your first Bitcoin for free with a special offer for my audience. Learn more on abundantminds.com/Efrat. Tired of feeling like your freedom and future are fading away? Do you live in a country with growing inflation, crazy housing prices, weird culture, and a chaotic economy? You're not alone, and my friend Mikkel Thorpe and his team at Expat Money can help. Mikkel is the world's leading expat consultant on a mission to free you from broken systems. He's been an expat for 25 years, lived in 9 different countries, and has helped hundreds of people with second residencies and passports, offshore banking, international investing, and many other essential tools. If you're serious about protecting your wealth and your family, it's not enough to hope things will get better. You need a plan B in another country. The team at Expat Money can help you build it legally, safely, and without wasting years of research. Visit expatmoney.com/eflat and leave your details for a follow-up.
And what is your take on those treasury companies that are popping up?
What actual value are they providing to other people except for the number go up thing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was always inevitable, but it is like, in a way, the beginning of the end for fiat, because what it is doing is like it's funneling the resources into the Bitcoin space.
Yep.
So I guess that's good.
In that sense, yes.
But I would prefer old school individual adoption, people buying KYC free Bitcoins and taking custody of their own coins and controlling their own keys, running their nodes, staying vigilant. In fact, the system depends on that. If we'll ever lose that, we're screwed.
Yeah.
And I can't emphasize this enough. It's like everything that was true about Bitcoin 10 years ago, it still holds true today, in terms of how to do it properly, how to do it ethically.
And for my audience that are taking their first steps into Bitcoin, I want to stress that is what you need to explore when you just get into it. Non-KYC, self-custody, no paper Bitcoin, no intermediaries. That's the whole point of Bitcoin, peer-to-peer.
Yeah, and it's there are so many weird contradictions going on here, because Bitcoin works precisely because it cannot be regulated. so that, like, screaming for regulation here and regulation there is like counterproductive to the very thing, the very discovery made. Opposing forces. So you sort of, at some point, need to accept that the government is not your friend to be able to actually understand Bitcoin to begin with. And I think that's too big of a hurdle for so many people. They want it to be legit. They want it to be white market. It cannot be. It wouldn't work if it was. Then the permissionless goes away, and that's super important.
Yes, perfect. Okay, you've written about Bitcoin as a way to opt out of broken systems. Given the speed of centralization and collapse in many areas, from finance to media to politics, do you think we're reaching a tipping point for mass adoption?
I mean, define mass adoption. Do I think we'll suddenly see 1 billion nodes pop up around the world? No. Do I foresee many more Bitcoin on the Treasury, on the balance sheet companies coming in the forthcoming years? Yes, more custodial Bitcoin hodlers, or pension funds. Yes. Second-hand Bitcoin, sure, will reach a lot more adoption in the next decade, but like
not what we
real
just talked
mass
about.
adoption, like define adoption. It's like defining hyper Bitcoinization. Where's the point where we have hyper Bitcoinized? Is it when all the other money is gone? Well, I mean, you can still denominate more of your stuff in Bitcoin. Like, you can still put a price on something you didn't even think of selling. Like, the thing is that all of this is personal. Like, what's hyper Bitcoinization to you? What's mass adoption to you? Like, how do you define it? These terms are super ambiguous and fluid.
Yeah.
So it's so hard. it's such a hard question to answer without going into.
What
Like
it means
I
for
sound like Jordan Peterson. Like, "Now, what do you mean by meaning?" Like,
You are our Jordan Peterson, Knut. You
no,
are.
I'm not.
You know what I mean? But no, for you, it's clear from the previous answer or previous question that what hyper Bitcoinization means for you is self-custody, non-KYC.
Yeah.
Right? And
Bitcoin,
the
we
more
hyper
people we have
Bitcoinize when
doing
we
that-
do. Like if
Yeah.
you personally hyper Bitcoinize, you're living in a hyper Bitcoinized world. And I'm not there. I still use fiat because I have to. I'm forced to. I wish I didn't have to, but I do have to. And I think everyone does. Like even someone as based as, say, Francis has to use fiat at some point, you know? So we still live in that world. The
that we have
further
to have
away we
one
can
foot
move
in
from it.
each
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, but the more we can, you know, put our
Minimize.
weight on the hillside ski, the better.
Yeah, just touch it a tiny
lousy
bit
metaphor, but
and run back to our sanctuary of Bitcoin world.
I think a tip for everyone like transitioning from the legacy system to the new system is the less you have to use banks, the better for everyone involved. Like just they're all shitty anyway.
Yep.
Their services are shit.
Yep.
So just try to avoid them as much as you can. I know it's hard, but that's what you're trying to get away from.
Yep.
So, and you often hear you shouldn't buy Bitcoins from a KYC'd exchange. But I think it's even more important that you shouldn't sell your Bitcoins to a KYC'd exchange. That's how they end up in these Bitcoin on the balance sheet companies or governments or whatnot. Like, don't sell your Bitcoins to a honeypot. Don't sell them at all. Exchange them for goods and services, though. Like, and the most crucial things, they remain the same as they were 10 years ago. Accept Bitcoin. Start accepting Bitcoin for your goods and services. Keep your KYC stack and your non-KYC stack separate if you can. Don't use banks. The government is not your friend. Make moral choices based on what's actually ethical and not what some bureaucrat has dictated is ethical. Like, all of this is still true.
Amen. I am now being probably debanked out of my Stripe account, which is connected to my Substack. For my paying
achievement
subscribers.
Unlocked. Yeah.
Achievement unlocked in the game. That's right. So they're in the process of debanking me because I am not complying with their KYC bullshit. I mean, I'm trying to, but there is something wrong in the process. So it's like computer says, no, like stop, you can't bank with us. And it's like, okay, you guys, I've tried everything. We can't work together, obviously. It's kind of pushing me to say to my paying subscribers, sorry, I'm moving to a Bitcoin only kind of payment mechanism. If you want to be my subscriber, you know, if you want to support me and my work and consume my content in that way, please join. If you can't, I understand, but I have to make those decisions because I'm sick and tired of that shit. Yep. And I don't want to be gated like that anymore. I'm really tired of it. And even when we try to be as good as we can with that fiat system, it's there and it's getting more cruel and more like anal by the day. I am sick of playing that game, especially when I already have tasted the other side. I know what it can be like, and it doesn't have to be so frictioned. You know, it can be frictionless.
Yeah. So, once you see it, it's like there's no question about it that Bitcoin is superior. Like it's
in so many ways.
And when you spend most of your days in this world, as both you and I do, it's like it's bleeding obvious.
Oh yeah.
The metaphor of you know the two bureaucrats carrying flags because there's a car coming and we're still living in horse and carriage world. It's absolutely true. Like we have something so much better, and we can just start using it. It's just that people are afraid. That they think that the men with guns will come and take them, or that they're doing something wrong. Like they have to ask for permission, and that this is I don't want to dox anyone here, but I have a metaphor. I once met a fellow author at a Bitcoin conference, and I asked him, "Hey, you want to barter books? One of yours for one of mine, signed books?" Oh, and he was like, "Oh, barter. Oh yeah, barter. We can do that. Oh, are we allowed to do that?" And that sort of encapsulates the whole lefty mindset in like the urge to want to ask for permission for something. Like you think that you've been so conditioned to obey orders that you think that you need permission to do shit.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, are we allowed to do that? I think it perfectly encapsulates the whole. And the worst part about it is that it comes from from something good. Like it comes from a wish to do the other, to do
the right thing.
Do the right thing, to be a good person.
Yeah.
Who do I have to ask for permission though? Is not actually good. It will obviously be exploited by.
There lies the manipulation.
Yeah.
The psychological manipulation that specific person is undergoing.
Yeah.
Most people in the world are undergoing that manipulation by being deceived to think that they are actually doing something good when really they are unnecessarily conditioning themselves to more rules, more permissions, more allowance from someone. It is not needed. That's the psyop. That's the manipulation part.
Yeah, and
they need to free their mind from that.
We've discussed psyops before, and I'm willing to admit that I don't know how much of any of this is actually deliberate and some evil mastermind in some lair somewhere. I think the incentive structures of the whole fiat system creates this, creates these situations, and creates people like it's more like the flock behavior and the asking for permission behavior that sort of creates the psychopath exploiting that.
Sure, I'm with you, but if you just to counter argument for a second, if you look at it, doesn't have to go back to this, evil bunch of people going, ha, 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 we're going to manipulate everyone. Look at the history of Edward Bernays coming up with how do we propagandize the masses to follow our orders, right? About 100 years ago.
I mean,
So that's where I'm alluding to. It's like there is this accepted normality in which people who are smarter than the layman are up there making decisions and thinking what's right and wrong for humanity and want to lead humanity in a certain direction. They don't do it out of evil just because they think that they know best and they want to lead the country or a group in a certain direction. We are going to put out there certain ideas or narratives that will be deemed right or positive, and we will then exercise different types of methods or techniques to make people believe and trust that this is the right way. And that's the beginning of propaganda and marketing and public relations.
Absolutely. And propaganda plays a huge role. So don't
and that's
don't
what
get
I mean
me
by
wrong.
psyop, not necessarily
but I'm the message I want to convey is that regardless of the source of the problem, the only person that can solve the problem is you. Like the individual, you taking steps to like not fall for it anymore, or not to like live a life where you want to please others without compensation.
Absolutely.
Like this is how you break the spell. Regardless of the origin of the spell. So that's the message I want to convey, because I think I recently rewrote my praxeology book. That's what I'm basing the lectures here on. And it now has 21 chapters instead of 17. So I wrote 3 more chapters.
But 4? 21 instead of 17 is 4 more chapters in my mathematical
It had 18 chapters.
Okay.
Yeah. The last is just sort of a summary of the whole thing. But anyway, I added 3 chapters.
Yep.
And the very last of those added chapters is called What About the Roads?
What about the roads?
Yeah.
Okay.
The most common question you get from non-libertarians or non-ANCAPs,
Right. Who's going to pave the roads?
And I'm stressing the point that is not really a question, but it's admitting that you think roads cannot be built without threats of violence, or that you think that they will be much better if there's a gun threat at some point. So it is Stockholm Syndrome. And I also talk about the movie, The Shawshank Redemption. You know that movie, right? The famous prison movie.
Yep.
In which you have a character called Brooks, a 90-year-old prisoner who finally gets released from Shawshank, and he gets a job at a supermarket and hangs himself after 2 weeks because he's been so institutionalized in getting these prison-provided 3 meals per day, even though they're super shitty, and strict times and everything, and obeying the rules of the prison. And at the same time, you have Morgan Freeman's character, Red, who warns the protagonist, Andy Dufresne, about optimism. And he says that hope is a dangerous thing because hope will turn you into Brooks, a broken man if you finally get out. It's much better to... no, that's not entirely correct. He says like hope can destroy you because you'll be forever disappointed because you have to live with the thought of being here forever. That's how you survive the prison. And Andy, the protagonist, and this is sort of the message of the movie, that no, it's hope is the rational choice, because there's a high likelihood you're going to die in the prison, but here's the catch: you're going to die anyway, so you might as well live with hope. And that's what Andy does. And he like a couple of teaspoons full of sand every day to dig a tunnel, and finally gets out, and he gets a life outside of prison. He manages to escape and thrive. So that's the message I want to convey, that hope is always the rational choice. You cannot let the powers that be, the metaphorical Shawshank walls, they're only real if you let them be real. Like so you have to you should live as if they weren't there. If you want to be content about your decisions and that you're an actual ethical human being that makes choices that aren't punishing others, it's a long and convoluted way of saying just Bitcoin is hope. Choose optimism, because you're going to die anyway, so you might as well.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you for that. As we wrap up, looking around the world today, politically, economically, culturally, what gives you hope that Bitcoin can scale not only as money, but as a tool for human freedom?
The two are the same, I'd say. Functioning money is human freedom. And I think Bitcoin scales in many ways, and that it's just a lack of imagination saying that Bitcoin won't scale. And let me elaborate on that a bit.
Yes.
First of all, I have this is a personal theory that I cannot prove in any way, shape, sense, or form. But if you have 10 wealthy friends that are, for 10 days, they're going out to eat something. Usually what happens is that one of them picks up the bill. If they're wealthy enough, one of them picks up the bill every night.
Yep.
And they sort of compete on who's going to pick up the bill, because it's a nice thing to do if you have the means to do it. That's 10 transactions that week. If 10 poor people do the same, they probably buy a pack of noodles each and go back to their own apartments and sit in their loneliness and eat their noodles. Nothing wrong with that. But 10 people, 10 days, that's 100 transactions. So my little pet theory here is that wealthy people need fewer transactions. And also, there are many other such forces at play with Bitcoin, because since Bitcoin accurately reflects the deflationary nature of technological improvement, it incentivizes you to prioritize quality over quantity.
Yep.
Now, what does that mean? Fewer transactions. Micropayments is often being like sold as like we need micropayments more than anything else. But micropayments, in my mind, is a very fiat-y thing.
Okay.
So whenever you pay €1 to go to the bathroom in the central station of city X somewhere, that's sort of a microtransaction, right? And what I envision on a Bitcoin standard is instead you get a lifetime subscription to every train service imaginable in that jurisdiction, and you make one payment. So I think these subscription models, where you make one payment and the recipient just gets the Bitcoin and therefore hence the number go up, they will be much more common. So I think transactions in general, the number of transactions goes down over time in Bitcoin. I think we're already sort of seeing this in the blocks not being full and everything, and people view it as a problem. What I'm seeing when I see that is like the solution to every problem actually playing out. This is people actually prioritizing quality over quantity. It doesn't mean no transactions at all.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like there's no point in having money if you don't spend it, if you don't ever spend it. But Bitcoin allows for generational wealth. You could spend it 5 generations from now. And the on-chain technical limitations make it so that if we were to split all the 21 million Bitcoins between 8 billion people, we get something like 200,000 sats each. But more importantly, we get two on base layer transactions each. So we get 2 UTXOs each per lifetime.
In the lifetime.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we live 80 years.
Okay.
Luke did the math on
Nice.
this, not me, but I think it's kind of accurate.
Nice.
On-chain Bitcoin makes like
If you had to
seven
do
transactions per
2
second.
transactions in your lifetime,
Yeah.
what would you
You would think a lot about what transactions to make. So, and this is also part of why Bitcoin is for anyone and not for everyone. But I don't see these as bugs at all. This is a feature. We've been conditioned to think of a medium of exchange as only a medium of exchange over space and with one another, but it's also a medium of exchange over time with your future self. Yeah. That is, I prefer that term to store value. I think medium of exchange over time is a better way of putting it.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Yep.
So yeah, I think we're getting into a world with fewer transactions and more people just being friendly to one another in general and just making things happen anyway, and like batching transactions into a big thing.
Which would then prioritize the quantity over quantity.
I don't want to dox too much about how this week here works, but we're not collecting receipts for everything and doing a lot of. But it's much more smooth than that. Let's just say that. So, and I think that's what we're moving towards, like everything being more. Smoother is the word, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Anything you'd like to touch on before we wrap up? And where should people follow you as well? Anything else you want to add on?
No, just a huge thank you to Plan B and Giacomo and everyone here for making this happen. I think the initiative here is overwhelmingly positive, an actual. This is about as real as it gets. I love Lugano and looking forward to coming to the forum in October a lot. I wish more things were like this, like they are between true Bitcoiners, friendly and frictionless, and just bringing out the best in everyone. It's fantastic to see, and it's an honor to be here with yourself and everyone else that is around. I still to this day pinch myself every day that I'm so lucky that I happened to stumble upon this early and be a part of it, and has opened so many other doors. So Bitcoin is absolutely hope, living proof of that. Yeah, you can find me. I'm still most active on X. I'm on Nostr as well. I'm Knut Svanholm on X and Nostr. There's also the Bitcoin Infinity Show. I do the pod, and we do the Bitcoin Infinity Academy in collaboration with Plan B, and that is me and my pod co-host Luke de Wolf. We're reading a chapter per week of one of my books and discussing the ideas in that specific chapter.
Awesome.
And that's a lot you can do there. We have a Geyser fund if you want to join the Telegram groups and participate a little more actively. So there's a lot of things coming up as usual. I just love doing all of this and talking to people about freedom and Bitcoin and praxeology and whatnot. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your contribution, for this lively discussion. I always love talking to you and picking your brain.
Right back at you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Please take a minute to give this episode a like, a comment, and subscribe or follow. And please share it with your friends so they can also get value and choose to take some positive action in their lives. Till next time.